Right, so you're here with us on the deep dive, and you know how this works.
Yeah.
You want to get in, get smart, get out. We take all the stuff out there, all the noise, and we boil it down to just what you absolutely need to know. Today, today it is all about really something huge coming up, March Madness 2025.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating is we've been digging through all the stuff that people are searching for online, about this, and it really gives you like a snapshot of what everyone's kind of thinking about, what everyone wants to know as we get closer and closer to tip-off.
And one thing that's super clear from all these searches is you want that like essential information, right? And most of all, you want the dates. When's it happening? When is March Madness 2025? So let's get into it. First things first, March Madness, what is it exactly? What's all the hype about?
Well, think of it this way, like the ultimate college basketball showdown, It's the NCAA Division men's and women's basketball tournament. Officially, the full names are the NCAA Men's Basketball Tournament and the NCAA Women's Basketball Tournament. But what's funny is how people search for it. You see everything from like just plain NCAA, March Madness, obviously. And sometimes you even see NIT pop up in there, which is, interesting. Kind of shows how it's all kind of part of the same conversation, right? It's like college basketball in general is what's on everyone's mind.
Right. So it's like the big leagues of college hoops.
Yeah.
It's win or go home time.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got that down. Now, the question that seems to be on like everyone's mind based on all the searches, things like when does March Madness start 2025? When does this whole thing actually kick off?
All right, so the date that really gets everyone going, I mean, the anticipation just goes through the roof, is Selection Sunday. This is when, like, the brackets, the whole tournament bracket is revealed, who's in, where are they seated, who are they playing first, and you can see how much this day means to people just based on the searches, right? When is this Census Selection show? On Census Selection Sunday time, Selection Sunday 2025 time. Like, everyone's just waiting for that moment.
And it's not just about when it's happening, right? It's like, where can I watch this thing? Tons of searches, like what channel is Selection Sunday on? Where to watch Selection Sunday? Even stuff like Selection Sunday Live, Selection Sunday Stream. Everyone wants to be there virtually for that moment, for that bracket reveal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the reveal itself has become like an event. Makes sense that everyone's trying to like figure out their viewing strategy way ahead of time, what channel, streaming, whatever it takes. It's all part of the excitement, right?
For sure, for sure. Okay, so before we even get to the tournament itself, we've got Selection Sunday. Now, is there anything else that happens before the main event?
Yes. So before the main tournament kicks off, there's actually a preliminary round they call the First Four. And we saw a good number of searches for this, like First Four March Madness, some saw First Four 2025. Pretty interesting that this early stage is already on people's radar.
Okay, so the First Four, those are those like crucial playing games to decide who gets that last spot in the main bracket. A lot of times you have like teams that were right on the edge of making it in. Okay, so First Four is done, then boom, the main event. And once the games start happening, man, a whole new set of searches starts popping up. Stuff like unsaw game times, March Madness game times. Yeah. Everyone wants to know when to tune in.
Totally. The logistics of actually following all the games is key. And it's not just like the overall schedule. When you look at these searches, high game times, March Madness game times, high tournament game times, you can tell people are trying to like plan out, okay, when can I watch this matchup? When is that specific game happening? It's all about watching it live.
Right. So it's not just about like having the schedule in front of you. It's like, when can I actually sit down and watch?
Yeah.
Got it. Now, beyond just knowing like when and where to watch, there's this whole culture around like predicting what's going to happen. Bracketology. I mean, searches like March Madness predictions, March Madness bracket predictions, and even March Madness 2025 bracket predictions. Those are everywhere. It's like everyone's an expert trying to call those upsets.
Oh, it's amazing, right? The whole like predicting the tournament, it's a phenomenon. It's massive.
Yeah.
You see searches specifically for like NCAA bracket predictions, the more, serious sounding NCAA basketball tournament 2025 bracket. And it's not just casual, like, I think this team's going to win. People want expert opinions too, you know? You see terms like Curbs bracketology, even names like Seth Davis popping up. He does a lot of like college basketball analysis. What's really interesting is you even see searches for specific regions, like South region, East region. Yeah. People are thinking strategically about how teams in those parts of the bracket might do.
Right. Like, okay, which region is the toughest to get out of?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So people are making their picks. They're filling out their brackets, which leads to a very practical need. You got to get your hands on a bracket. And I mean, a number of searches for anything printable bracket is incredible. Printable March Madness bracket, printable bracket, printable bracket 2025, on and on and on. It's like, even in this digital age, people still want that physical piece of paper,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? There's something about actually like filling out a bracket by hand. You can really see that in the numbers. Printable March Madness bracket 2025, NSA bracket printable, tons of them. And it's not just any printable bracket either. People are looking for specific platforms too. Searches for like SPN bracket, CB's bracket are huge. And it's not just for the bracket itself. Those are like hubs for all kinds of tournament info, right? So
Yeah.
you see people searching SPN March Madness, CB's March Madness. You even see people just searching for those websites directly, like CB Sports.
Right, so it's like your one-stop shop for everything March Madness. And it's not just about, bragging rights among friends. It's about competition. We saw a bunch of searches for March Madness Bracket Challenge, just plain bracket challenge.
Yeah.
People want to put their prediction skills to the test, go up against everyone else.
Yeah, for sure. That social aspect, the bracket challenges, it adds a whole other level, right? It's not just watching the games, it's playing the games, kind of.
Right, exactly. Okay, so we talked about those regional breakdowns a little bit before, and the searches definitely show that that's on people's minds. Searches like South Region UNCAW Tournament, West Regional March Madness, East Region UNCAW 2025, Midwest Region March Madness. It's like they're trying to, map out the tournament in their heads geographically.
I think that's right. Knowing the regions helps you visualize, like, a team's potential path to the Final Four. Where do they got to go? Who might they have to beat along the way?
Makes sense. We even saw searches like South Bracket March Madness and the South Regional 2025 really focused in on those specific parts of the bracket.
Absolutely. And it's really important to remember, this isn't just about the men's tournament. There is a huge, and it's growing every year, amount of interest in the women's tournament too. And you can see it clearly in the searches. Women's bracket, Women's March Madness 2025, OMA women's bracket, all over the place. The women's game is just exploding in popularity, and the search data shows that.
Definitely. And it's not just casual interest either. Winkyo Women's Basketball Bracket 2025. Women's State Bracket 2025. People are serious about following the women's tournament.
Yeah. And just like with the men's, there's all that anticipation about, okay, how are those teams going to be selected? Who's going to make it in? You see searches for Women's Selection Sunday, even more specific ones like Wing Choi Women's Selection Show 2025, Women's Basketball Selection Show. And again, the timing is key, right? Women's Selection Sunday 2025 is a popular one. So it's that whole process, the selection, the bracket reveal, it's all mirrored for the women's tournament too.
Right, so that same cycle of anticipation, who's in, when do we find out, where do we watch, it's happening for both tournaments.
Exactly, and the searches go even beyond those two main events. We saw interest in other tournaments like Knit Bracket 2025, more general terms like College Basketball Bracket, even just plain brackets, shows a broader interest in the whole landscape of postseason college basketball.
Well, right, it's all connected. And we saw some more informal searches too. Brackets NCAP, brackets for March Madness.
Yeah.
People trying different ways to find what they need, no matter how they phrase it.
Totally. And in those searches, you see all kinds of fans, right? The casual fan who just wants, basketball bracket to fill out. The more serious ones looking for NCAB. That's like the shorthand for NCAA basketball. You even see people looking for live bracket updates as the tournament's going on. The mention of Yahoo Fantasy is interesting, too. Shows how March Madness ties into fantasy sports for a lot of people.
Right. Another layer of competition and engagement. It's fascinating how many different angles people are coming from. The casual fan, the bracket strategist, the fantasy league player, all in the mix. And then you get some terms that really capture, the drama and the human side of it. Things like first four out. Those teams that were right on the bubble but just missed the cut. And NCAB tournament snubs.
Right.
The teams that fans and analysts think got left out unfairly.
Yeah, those terms really get at the passion, right? How much people care about this. It's not just who gets in. It's those what ifs, the debates, the arguments. It's all part of the whole March Madness story.
Absolutely. Oh, and one other thing we noticed, some searches about actually being there, being at the games. Terms like NCAA tournament locations, March Madness locations. For some people, the ultimate experience is being in the arena, right?
For sure. For a lot of people, that energy, the excitement of being there in person, that's a huge part of it. So, if we take a step back, what's so cool is that all these searches, they paint a really clear picture of how much anticipation there is for March Madness 2025. People are zeroed in on those selection details, the dates, times, where to watch for both men's and women's. And then you have that massive massive wave of like bracketology. People need their printable brackets. They're joining challenges. It's amazing.
So bottom line, I think it's safe to say the excitement for March Madness 2025 is it's getting pretty intense. People want to know exactly when those selection shows are happening. They're already thinking about their brackets and who might pull off the upset. And they're figuring out how they can follow all the games, right? TV, streaming, even hoping to snag some tickets to see it all live.
Exactly. It really is remarkable how many different ways people engage with this. It's not just a tournament. It's a cultural phenomenon, you know? Captures a huge audience from all walks of life.
This brings up a thought for you, listener. With all this info flying around, all this anticipation before the first tip-off even happens, what are you going to be looking for? What are the storylines, the potential Cinderella runs, the crazy upsets? How does all this, wanting to know the dates, wanting the brackets, how does it all build up the excitement, the hope for those unpredictable moments that really make March Madness what it is? It's something to think about as we all get ready for the madness to begin.